I'm good, I would need, I would die, 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 I would need, I would die.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this webinar. My name is David Egani, and I'm the Senior Growth Partner. If this is your first time joining us on a webinar, I am the Senior Growth Partner for the McClure Real Estate Group. Colton, obviously, is our team lead. And with us, we have the absolute gangster of lead conversion, the man. His name is Robby T. There's no one better in the business. And we're super excited to have him. And he's going to give you guys some incredible knowledge and things that you're going to be able to use to really help you drive the needle in your business in this current shifting market. So with that, take it away, you guys. Robby, thanks for being with us.
All right. So guys, thank you so much. I will tell you this, Robby has been my lead conversion coach we've known each other now for about 2 years. And I got awareness of Robby at a Wailopo event a little while back. And I listened to the way he spoke. Yes, and it is being recorded for those of you who are asking. So Robby was just amazing. I heard the way that he spoke about dialogue with clients, lead opportunities. I heard the way that how he really just uncovers a buyer's motivations. So I slid in his DMs and I said, hey, I didn't even know he was a coach at the time, but I slid in his DMs and I was like, hey, dude, I don't know what I got to do, but I really want to be within proximity of you. And fortunately, it kicked off what's become an absolute brotherhood between the two of us. He is my personal ISA coach, and he also coaches my entire team. We also use his Hatch systems, which is the follow-up cadences and the automated text messages that go out to nurture all of our leads, which is exceptional. But it is what makes you valuable isn't like, yes, Hatch systems is amazing, but I always tell everybody you can throw the keys to a Ferrari to a child and they're going to crash it into the first wall they see. Yeah. Where a really great agent has the ability to completely separate themselves in terms of conversion is what you do once the systems and the automations have done their job. They provided us a response. What do we say? How do we say it? And in this changing environment, it is more important than ever that we say the right things. And I have a pen out. I get to hear this guy talk constantly. And the fact that he is here on this webinar, I know he's going to hit us with a ton of brilliance. And I have my pen out ready to take notes, even though I get to take advantage of this guy's knowledge all the time. So everybody, Robby T, I love you, brother. Can't wait to learn from you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And it's funny because the time goes quick, right? When we met at that Wailopo conference, and it's been so spectacular to see your growth, both in your in your personal production and in your team and everything that you're doing to grow your influence. And the thing I'm most proud of is you're treating people really, really well. And it's just so cool to see, man. So bromance. Here's what I'll tell you, friends. You know, I keep hearing from really crappy agents, the market's not shifting. And I'm like, hold on a second. We got to talk about that for a moment. And Colton, you know how this goes. At any moment you want to redirect, you just throw it at me. But here's where I want to start today. I want to start really surrounding the conversation about where we're at, why we're here, what's been happening, just because not everybody slows down enough to really just simply think about why is this market changing and what's coming from it. So let's start here real quick, friends. I want to steal from one of the most brilliant minds in real estate, a guy named Ben Kinney, who's at KW, one of the most brilliant people I know. He talks about something that he calls the circle of buyer affordability. I want you all to write that down. And let's just talk about what's happened, Colton, so maybe we can spit back and forth real quick.
Yeah, of course.
In OC, right? Let's talk about what's been happening in Irvine, in Orange County. Yeah. In the last 2 years, let's just talk about home appreciation. So what's happened to the price of an average home in the last 2 years in Orange County?
We've jumped in the last 2 years, nearly 40%.
40%. So if I wanted to buy the same thing that I was thinking about buying a year ago, my dollar's going 40% less of the way if I'm looking to purchase. Fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. So first off, everybody, right? Let's just envision the circle. That circle, let's say it was this big, it just went like this. Okay. Then what we've seen happen in the last 2 years is some things happen to interest rates. And if I had to guess in OC, your interest rates have gone up from what to what in the last 2 years, Colton?
So we're in the really, well, in the last 2 years,
Mhm.
we've seen payments go roughly in the last 2 months, 60 days. We've seen buyers' payments increase by about 14 to 1,500 bucks per month,
Oof.
which reduces a buyer's buying power by $280,000 to $300,000. It's a wild adjustment. And we've definitely seen a huge shift. And this is the whole reason that I wanted to do this webinar with you, is I hear the complaints that agents are saying on a daily basis. And it's even within our own team. And it's, well, you know, they're not interested. They got priced out. They don't want to, all the objections that we get.
Yep.
And the reality of it is we have to dig deeper, which is something that you've been exceptionally good at. I'm going to let you keep digging into the why we are where we are. I don't want to jump the gun too much, but
you're giving away the trade secrets, Colton. Now we're going to but whether you're in the OC, whether you're in Fargo, North Dakota, whether you're in Austin, Texas, New York, it doesn't matter. And from what I know, Colton, this is open to everybody, right? Nationwide. And
it is.
You got people all over the place. I think everybody could agree that we've seen the market increase 20 to 40% almost everywhere. Not even just in the United States, but everywhere. And then on top of that, we've seen interest rates go up about 2 full points in the last 2 years at minimum, if not 3. And there's one way they're most likely to keep going, which is up. If there's one thing I want people to write down real quick, Colton, just so everybody knows, is every 1% rise in interest rates reduces a buyer's purchasing power another 10-ish%. In other words, what we just need to recognize is this, is that although there is unprecedented buyer demand, there's zero doubt about it, right? Between institutional investors, BlackRock, between millennials buying their first homes because they don't want to live with their moms or friends anymore post-COVID, we are seeing a plethora of buyer demand and limited supply. And that actually is very unlikely to change, in my opinion. And the reason for that is there's more options for real estate than ever before, right? Colton, you're in California. There's Airbnbs everywhere. And Airbnbs are just another option of something I could do with my house instead of selling it. Again, further restricting the amount of supply in the game. But we are seeing a shift. We're seeing a shift because buyers' affordability has been massively disrupted in the last 2 years. And that's impacting the market. That circle is literally half the size of what it was, if not smaller. Anything you want to add to that, Colton, just to make sure everybody's on the same page?
It's something that we've been trying to identify, and we created a tag in Sierra because we wanted to identify, we generate a ton of leads, and a lot of the leads that we generate, anything that was procured from really prior to the start of the increase of interest rates.
Yep.
At least 45 to 55% of those inquiries are now hitting us with the objection of, I'm priced out. Nope, I'm scared of the market. Nope, I don't want to buy. Nope, I don't want to do this. Nope, I don't want to do that. And we are being met with so much objection when prior to that, it was easy. The hard and I know people get mad. It's like, I know the market was competitive, but it really is some first world problem bullshit. When you're talking about hard, is people are throwing money at you. Clients were coming to us ready to submit offers, 12% over ask. Clients were coming to us ready to submit offers with limited contingencies and waiver of appraisals. They were educated on the market because it was so well known what was happening, and it was so well known and advertised what you had to do in order to be competitive in this market. So now that things are starting to normalize, skill set and mastery is absolutely coming back into the cards if you want to stay relevant. And what we've just noticed is, okay, if we are going to see half of our database that we've accumulated over the last however many years, how are we going to make sure that we are getting and uncovering the true motivations, the true fears behind every single client that we have in that database? And the majority of agents are fighting it just the ass backwards, worst possible way. And we're going to go into it. And we're just trying to hit them with, well, do you know in the 50-year averages, these interest rates are low?
Yeah.
And it's like, you prick. They just lost $280,000 in buying power. Their payment just went up $1,500 per month. And we don't even give them the ability to feel.
Well, and I want to tell a story that Eric, my business partner, shared, and I know Eric has a huge influence in your life too, Colton, but he shared an analogy one day that I think everybody needs to take in because it will give you the empathy to relate to what people just went through. Imagine, Colton, that you have a pair of shoes and man, you got some broke ass Jordans, right? They got holes in them and you know you need a new pair of shoes. Here's what's happening is you're walking into the shoe store, and as you're walking in, you're seeing a sign on the window that says everything is 50% off. So you walk in, you find some dope ass new J1s, you're super excited about it. You got them, you walk up, you're about to check out, and they ring it up and it's full price. And you're like, no, hold on, it's half off. That's what the sign said. And they're like, no, that sign or that sale ended yesterday. No matter who you are, you feel like you're getting wrecked right now. Literally when it happened this quick, right? People were anchored to, okay, low interest rates, affordability, blah, 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 blah. And now they've gotten completely wrecked. Now there's one simple thing we need to know is that in that moment, they're feeling frustrated. We're in the first wave of the frustration about this. Well, really the second. First was high prices. The second is now high prices met with higher interest rates, right?
Yeah.
And what people are feeling is screw that. If you're going to charge me full price for these pairs of shoes, I'm going to walk out the door. Now, Colton, when you walk out the door, when you look down at your shoes, you still got some broke ass J's and you know you need some new shoes. And that's what this really comes down to. I want everybody to write this down. There's three things that are happening right now when somebody is telling you the objection that the market's too crazy, I can't afford it. There's three things people are doing right now to these objections. And there's one thing you should know about all those objections. It is simply fear in people's minds. It is fear that people have. It's frustration that people have when people are saying, I'm waiting for the market to crash. I'm waiting for things to fall apart. I'm waiting for a correction. I'm waiting for rates to go down, right? First off, anyone in real estate that knows anything about real estate says that data shows us that interest rates are going to keep going up and we're not going to see a price adjustment. People have been waiting for price adjustments to go down for how long? It's not going to happen, right? Prices are going to likely stay where they're at. If anything, they're going to keep going up. But more importantly, that fear they have, here's what I see people doing. Three different reactions to it. Number one, I see people trying to use what I've taught them, which is tell me more. So Colton, you bring up this fear of, man, I'm going to wait for the market to crash. If Colton's saying the market's going to crash, and I say, well, tell me more about that. Here's what's going to happen is I'm simply going to reinforce the fear that Colton has because he's going to draw on every single thing he can think of the news media, the uncle that's an investor who says that things going to fall apart. He's going to draw all the information and it reinforces that fear that he has. So tell me more in this scenario doesn't do you any good. If anything, it creates more resistance. The second thing I see people doing, which is, if I had to guess, Colton, almost everybody that is here today, is you try debating people that they're wrong, that they need to take advantage of interest rates today, that they are historical lows, that prices are going to keep going up. And if there's one simple thing that you should all know is that you can be right and you can be wrong, friends. All right. When you try to fight emotion with logic, it doesn't end well. And that's what people are trying to do in this market is they're trying to fight this fear and anxiety that people have because of the wars and the narrative and the media and the stock market tanking and crypto going wacko and sideways, right? All this uncertainty you're trying to debate, but now's a great time to buy. And the problem is you're not trusting, and fighting emotion with logic doesn't work. I'm a married man and I know it's called the couch. All right. Colton's not married yet, but he knows what I'm talking about.
I was gonna bring this up. It's been a while since I've been in a relationship, but I do remember when I was in one. And I'm the worst with this, even though I knew I was right. The worst time in the world to ever try to solidify my point, and from my perspective, was while tensions were high and emotions were running rampant. It is the worst time. And in fact, it was almost guaranteed that had I done it, it always escalated it, and made the situation worse.
Always.
What always worked is when we said, hey, you know what? Got to walk away. Let's cool down. Let's talk about this in a little bit later after we cool down. And then you can come back and have that conversation. But it's so, when you said this, I felt like such an idiot because it's common sense and just basic, like even these conversations with my daughter.
Yep.
I know when to have these conversations with her, and it's not while she's red in the face.
Yeah, you can try. You can try doing it. It's not going to end well, right?
That little girl will kick my ass.
Exactly. So let's talk about the third strategy that works. So when people are bringing up this fear that I can't afford it because of interest rates, here's the simplest thing that you need to do. And I want everybody to write down these terms. You need to refocus and redirect. What that really means is when Colton says that he's going to wait for the market to crash, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to act like I didn't hear him say it. I'm going to say something like, got it, Colton. I can appreciate that. But help me understand, what had you interested in real estate to begin with? In other words, we're going to circle around it. And this is what you almost always have to do when there's some objections that are emotional in some way, shape, or form, is I need to dig a little bit deeper and go around it. I need to refocus and redirect. So when someone says something like Colton did, right? I'm going to wait for the market to crash. And then I say, got it, Colton, I understand that. But what had you interested in real estate to begin with? And then Colton says something like, well, I was thinking about getting some more space for my family, but I don't think we can afford it now with interest rates. Right? Great. They just threw that second objection in your face. What I'm going to do is, all right, totally makes sense. Help me understand why you wanted to get more space, Colton. You see, all I'm doing is I like to jokingly say this is selective listening. I hear you, and I can't ignore it completely, right? If I just act like you didn't say anything at all, you'll get pissed at me. I got to at least acknowledge it. But what I want to do is not feed it any more energy. I'm not going to feed the emotion, the energy. It's already got enough of it. I'm instead going to go down the pathway to see where are the opportunities. I'm going to refocus and redirect you to see what was it that got you looking on that website to begin with? What got you looking on Zillow to begin with? What are these things? Because here's what happens. Remember, these people are shell-shocked. They have sticker shock right now. And have empathy for that. You would too. Yeah. What we need to do, though, is we need to make sure that we're getting to the root of what causes people to buy and sell homes. And it's never interest rates. People don't buy and sell homes because of interest rates. They buy and sell homes for needs, wants, and desires. And your job is not to allow that surface level emotion to dominate the conversation. It's to find what is the core driving emotion that Colton has to begin with. Is he feeling cramped in his house? Is he feeling sick and tired of working at his kitchen island? Is he wanting a bigger yard? Is he wanting to get out of his neighborhood? Find that core driving emotion, because guess what? When they go back to their house, when they're done talking to you and they're fearful of the market and they get home and they're reminded of the house being too small, they're going to go buy and sell a home. This is what's so funny, right? Let's go back to the 80s. Colton, what were the interest rates back in the 80s?
I wasn't even born yet. Don't ask me.
Yeah, I know, right? Neither. Well, a quick Google search would help us, right? Thank God for Google.
Thank you, Christina.
Right? Some people were paying much higher than that. 12 to 15%. Colton, were people buying and selling homes in the 80s?
Yes.
Yes, they were. Despite it being more than double the interest rates of today. People don't buy and sell because of interest rates. Don't get me wrong, interest rates, of course, reflect how much risk, but interest rates really affect affordability. That's the biggest thing that it changes. People buy and sell homes because they're moving. They buy and sell homes because their family's getting bigger. They buy and sell homes because they're going through divorces. They buy and sell homes because they have FOMO. They buy and sell homes because they want to upgrade and become, have a different vision for their life. They buy and sell homes for a bigger backyard. I've spoken to tens of thousands of leads. And Colton, I know you have spoken to many thousands of people. And how many times do they say they're buying a home because of interest rates?
I can tell you right now, the ones who are buying today, it's none of them are bringing up interest rates.
Never. And
bummed.
your job is to find why someone's wanting to do something, not letting the surface level BS dominate the conversation. That's where so many people are failing today, is they're letting surface level BS dominate everything.
Well, I talk about this with my team all the time, because we all have the same pool of leads. We all have the same sources. We have the same systems. We have the same training. We have the same tools. We have everything.
Yep.
And yet some agents will have a 17 to it. We have some agents with as high as a 17% conversion rate.
Yep.
And then we have some that can barely get it over 2. And when you're all fishing out of the same exact pond, and we all have the same exact tools, and we all have the same exact resources, you are throwing the keys to the Ferrari to a child who has never driven one, who hasn't mastered their skill set, who hasn't mastered the objections, who hasn't mastered the dialogue and the ability to articulate the market in a way that is going to earn trust with the people that we talk to. They don't know you, they don't like you, and they don't trust you. And you have to give yourself the ability to earn that. But we've been in this market to where it's been so insanely fast paced to where we didn't have to. People were throwing money at us, and we were able to just literally take, because we didn't have the bandwidth to service everybody else. We had to top grade our pipelines and focus on the people that had the finances, that had the financing, that had the ability and the willingness to be competitive in this market. We all had so much low hanging fruit, and now that low hanging fruit, a lot of it has disappeared. And a lot of people are saying, well, it's gone. No, it's not, dickhead. It just climbed higher up into the tree. And now you got to learn how to climb up there and start nurturing all of the fruit within all of the stages, all of the timeframes. We are coming back to the days of needing to be nurturers. And it's a skill set that so many of us have gone completely rusty on.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I want to add 2 things to this real quick. You keep talking about the Ferrari, and obviously I'm a big fan of automation. And the reality is automated shit is just more shit.
Yeah.
And if you're not great at the conversation, I can't, and it's one of the biggest frustrations we have is our stuff it opens doors, but it doesn't walk in the house for you, right? You have to be willing to do that work. And that's what you're seeing when you talk about 17 versus 2, the 17% know how to ask questions. And Colton, I want to give people one simple thing that hopefully everybody can walk away from here. It's something I've studied and I think is so profound, whether you're leading, whether you're talking to your kids, whether you're talking to your spouse or talking to a lead, it does not matter. It's human psychology 101. Everybody tries to have an outcome, right? When we're talking to leads, our desire is, I want to set an appointment. Let go of all that shit. Let go of attachment. If you truly want to move faster with people, let go of all attachment to the outcomes in conversations. Do this. Have one goal in mind. Create a circle of safety for the person that you're talking to. Make that person feel safe. Give them the space. And how do you make people feel safe? You make sure they feel heard. You acknowledge what they say. You show interest in what they're saying. And you don't have an attachment to, I want to sell you something, or I want to end this conversation quickly, or I want my kid to do this. No, create a circle of safety so people's true motivations and stories can come out. Because when you do that, what happens is it becomes exponentially easier to influence somebody and help them get what they want. Your job is not to set an appointment. Your job is to make people feel safe, because when do people trust you? When they feel safe. When do they do business with you? When they trust you. It's just working. It's the leading indicator, right? We always talk about lead versus lag. If you want more sales, you need more appointments. How do you set more appointments? You have more conversations. How do you earn trust in those conversations? You make people feel safe. So
now I want to talk about, because there's a lot of different opinions on this and how, like, the numbers and the data and the trends and all the slides that we have, that we use. We have 5 slides that I send out to all of our agents. And I apologize for anybody who hasn't been on one of these before. I am really trying not to cuss. I know I do. I'm trying to clean it up because this isn't our normal group. So apologies up front. But it is such, like, since implementing these new, The pivot is all it is. We are having that conversation. But when you meet that person's objection with the data and the historical trends, and you meet them at that moment with those statistics, you're not going to get them. You won't have the ability to discuss those numbers and those historical trends and the interest rates and the fact that we are coming out of one of the worst housing inventory crises that we've ever been in. And as we start to see these huge headlines of inventory jumping up by 36 to 46% month over month, which, by the way, here in California, I'm looking at it now. We had another 36% month over month increase, but we are so ridiculously far away from a balanced market. So we have all the data, we have all the slides, we have all the talking points, but we can't have it at the moment of the objection. Since implementing this new process, and if you guys follow me on Instagram, I share my team Slack chat all the time. It's our internal communication with my agents. And my posts all the time in there when somebody says, hey, just use the new process. I just use the new objection handler. This stuff really, really works. Use it, guys. It's because when you implement it and you execute it and you say it the right way and you come with an empathetic approach and tone and you let them feel heard, valued, and understood, you will have a far better ability and understanding of how to connect with them and bridge the gap from where they are today and where they want to be tomorrow. The gap is the knowledge and the data and the information that's going to help support them to be able to make that jump.
Yep.
But we're doing it at the wrong time. And we're not giving people, it's why I wanted to put real numbers to it, because I hear agents, I see it all the time. We post it and oh, well, these interest rates are so good. Dude, chill. People cannot afford, the median, just show you in our market what this has done. And if you don't know these numbers in your market, you need to. In order for a median household income to purchase a median priced single family home in our market, at the same 60 days ago, you used 47% of your gross household income to purchase that home, which that was starting to get up there in that volatility index in regard to how much money we can apply towards our income towards housing. Within literally 60 days, it went up to 67%, and that was 2 weeks ago. That completely prices people out. So when you meet those people with that objection, it's absolutely invalid. It's complete and total bullshit, and you need to allow people to feel what they are very entitled to feel. And if you don't, I promise you, that person will not ever open up to you, and you will never have the ability to earn that conversion in the future. And the problem is we're so commission fueled, so many agents, and we're so car salesman-y, and it's why we have such a terrible reputation, is because we don't give people permission to say no.
Yep.
And it's another thing that Robby teaches us. We spend so much time, and I'm stealing this directly from him, we spend so much time trying to turn our shit into gold that in the process, we turn our gold into shit.
Facts.
We got to be relentless about diving into our database and finding out and use this exact process. Pivot in the conversation. When you inevitably get the pricing strategy, what had you looking in the first place? Allow them to open up, talk about that bedroom that they need extra, talk about that extra square footage, or talk about all of these that we're going to go through that right now. So when they say, oh, I'm priced out. Well, what had you looking in the first place? And there's one more rule I want to say real quick, Jacob. Scripts only work in a controlled environment. They do not work in the real world. They're guides to the conversation, but they're just simple little keywords that he has taught us that literally, no matter what gets said or how it gets said, we're going to hit them with the same thing. Well, what had you looking in the first place? And Robby says, well, I've been priced out. The market's too crazy. I'm scared values are going to drop. Blah, blah, blah. What had you looking in the first place?
Back to it again. Dude, it's honestly okay. So I'm gonna try being as kind as I can. You all are overcomplicating this stuff far too much. When people throw those objections at you, you feed into it. Literally just circle around it, pivot around it, refocus, redirect it. What had you looking in the first place? Tell me a little bit more about that. What does that mean? Right? Literally just go down those pathways. And one more thing, Colton, you open the door on scripts. A great conversation is never scripted. This ain't movies. This isn't a movie we're recording. It's improv, friends. That's the greatest skill that you need to be a great salesperson, is not be scripted. It's to be, of course, knowledgeable. And Colton, that's what you were saying, was you can know all the right things, but if you're saying them at the wrong time, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? End of story. And we all know that. What it comes down to is you have to earn the trust to be heard before you tell people things. And the easiest way to earn the right to be heard is first to hear someone else. And what's cool about it is you learn what matters to them. You learn their dialect, you learn their style. The other big thing is this. You know, my favorite thing, and there's so many things that you brought up, Colton, and it's just fun to hear. My favorite thing about this market is you kept bringing up the fact that things are about to get more difficult, right? Or they already are. And I've been using this analogy that with a lot of my coaching clients, that real estate for the last 18 months has been like playing basketball on an 8-foot rim. You got a bunch of homies out there dunking on 8 feet thinking that they're LeBron James or they're MJ. And no offense, y'all, you ain't shit, all right? Because the market's been too easy. Buyers have been desperate. They've been throwing money around. And I'm not diminishing that it's not taking work, but it is not taking skill. So stop acting like it. We are about to enter, and this is what you all need to know about when shift happens. When shift happens, the hoop gets raised from 8 feet to 9 feet to 10 feet. I think it's already been raised to 9 feet, and you're starting to see people miss the basket a lot more often. It's going to 10 feet. And that's when skill actually matters. And if you're on here and you're investing in yourself, if you're anything at all like Colton and his squad with Zeus, you're investing in yourself and you know skills matter. And if anything, you're excited because you know dang well the last 18 months have been annoying. Because nothing is more annoying to a LeBron James than watching people like Colton Rye dunking on 8 feet thinking we're the shit. He's like, man, that's a joke, right? What's really going to happen is this, is we're entering in a season of separation where those with skills are going to separate themselves over the next year or two compared to those that don't have it. And those that don't have high quality skills, and I kind of feel bad, Colton, for someone who joined 18 months ago. They think all you got to do is you just put a home on the MLS and it sells. They have no idea what it's like talking to somebody about a price improvement. They're like, what does that mean? What's it mean to do a price reduction? They have no idea what these things are. They have no idea how to overcome objections because they haven't had any. People are like, I need to buy the house. I'll pay 20% over. I don't care. We're entering a season where setbacks come up and you need to get excited about it, because what happens in this season is that people that were dunking on 8 feet have no idea how to jump to 10 feet. They can't get there. They don't have the skills for it. So they go and get a part-time job. And when they get a part-time job, all this, they feel more desperate. They get worse. Their skills go down. What it really comes down to is the biggest thing with this is we're in separation season and you got to take advantage of it.
I think a big piece, because I know me, when I hired you, I kind of hit you with the scripts. Now, I will tell you, there's a lot of things that we use. So, for example, I always equate us out to Nordstrom's. I wanted our office to where if you say an objection to me, you say it to Bruni, you say it to Michael, Matthew, whoever you say it to in our office. I wanted to ensure that the people were getting the same response. Mm-hmm. Now, granted, if you listen to the conversation, I'm going to try to find it because I had this conversation and I know it's recorded. I just got to go dig through some leads to try to find it. And it was literally just the perfect call. Now, granted, they all don't go this well. Yeah. The reality of it is we have to understand each of these little micro adjustments we're about to go into, if used with consistency and if used every single time without fail, without the fear of, well, what if they don't like, because the crazy thing is I always had that. Like, dude, when I used to do these things, I would shake. That's why I couldn't door knock, because I always envisioned somebody on the other side sitting with a shotgun. And as soon as I was going to knock, like, that is the legitimate fear and visualization that I put in my own head. Like, I was my own worst enemy. People don't get mad. They weren't getting upset. So our key point here in some of these, and what I really want people to do in our database, who has people that have completely ghosted them? I know we have a lot of leads that have completely disappeared on us. And everybody keeps using the same bullshit, the stale follow-ups, the stale, here's some properties, let me know if you see anything you like.
Yeah.
So number one, the best thing that we can do, and we did it, we have 10, and I'll send them out to everybody in the email. We have 10 ghosting text templates that we've used to recreate the ability to have the exact conversation that we're having now. That's all we're trying to do. Who can I get to respond so I can go have this conversation now? Because I want to have as many of these conversations as possible. So I'll send them out, but some of the ones that worked really, really well is, hey, Robby, I don't want my follow-up to become a nuisance. Are you still considering making a move? If not, I totally understand. I simply want to make sure I don't drop the ball. That one gets a ridiculous response rate for us. I'll share that here in the chat. Hey, I haven't heard back from you in a while. You doing okay? Gets a huge response. Hi, Tracy, or hey, Robby, I'm reading from one that just worked. Wanted to check back with you on your home search. Did you end up finding a home, or is that something that's still in your future? It's like, we'll keep sending multiple variations, text messages or emails, it doesn't matter, or a phone conversation. It's the same thing, whether we're texting, we're emailing, we're having a phone conversation, that's your script. And a lot of people really focus on one or two. I consider all medians a follow-up, a player on the team. And we need to use every single player that's on that team to progress the ball down the field. So if you're only texting, good luck only using a quarterback. You have to utilize all means necessary to create the conversation. We used to, and we don't do it anymore. And truthfully, the reason is we don't have to, because we have so many leads, and it's a huge mistake that we're not. We used to go find them on LinkedIn. We used to go find them on Facebook. We used to go find them on Instagram, and we would send them messages there because at the time, getting one conversion was so critically important to me being able to pay my bills for the business the next day. So I used to use that. So we would use these, and I'm going to put all of these in an email and send them out to you guys. You will get a huge amount of response from dead leads. And when people say, no, screw you, not interested. Who's this? No, market's about to tank. I'm thinking about it, but we just signed a new lease. We're thinking about it, but we're saving more money. You're going to get all these different variations of responses. And what agents suck at is all of those different responses that aren't anything other than positive in the exact target that you're looking for. We ignore them in their entirety. We're like, oh, no, well, all those are no's. I'm only going to focus on the one that said, yeah, we're thinking about it. And that's the biggest mistake that we made, and we've been able to get away with it, is now you need to take all of that and all those responses, and we need to have this exact same conversation. Well, what had you looking in the first place? Every single question, every single objection, all of them are going to be met with, well, what had you looking at real estate in the first place? And they're going to tell you. Robby, do you want to kind of go back and forth? Because I want to make sure that they can get further into the conversation of what had you looking in the first place.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll just give you a call and let's just role play it. So
cool.
Ring.
Hello.
Hey, is Colton available?
Yeah, who's this?
Hey, Colton, Robby here with Hatch Realty reaching out. Just wanted to see if you're just kind of checking out some homes for fun, or anything about making a move sometime soon.
We were looking a little while back, but we kind of put our plans on hold.
Okay, so you put your plans on hold. Why were you looking in the first place, Colton? What was going on?
We wanted a bigger place. COVID kind of shut everything down, so we wanted to get some more space and a bigger backyard.
Okay, so bigger backyard and some more space. Where are you currently located, Colton?
Yeah, so I'm currently over in Tustin.
Okay, got it. And so when you're thinking about some more space or bigger backyard, what does that kind of look like for you, Colton?
I mean, right now we have a 2-bedroom. Ideally be able to roll into a 4 or something like that. But honestly, it's just with interest rates going the way they're going and with the market doing what it's doing, we're just gonna sit tight for a little bit. Totally makes sense. And you said you have a 2-bed, you're thinking about getting 4 bedrooms at some point in your life. Tell me about that. Why 4 bedrooms? We just got kids. We got kids, more kids, dogs. So we're getting a little cramped up. Got it. So feeling quite squished. Do you own your place right now then, Colton, or what does that look like? No, actually right now we rent. Okay, got it. And what are you roughly paying in rent right now per month, give or take? About $4,000 a month. Okay, $4,000 a month. Perfect. And where are you thinking you'd want this home to eventually be once you potentially purchase it? I mean, ideally, we were trying to stay in Irvine, but we've really kind of been priced out.
Sure.
Irvine's definitely not going to happen at this point. So some of the surrounding areas, most likely.
Okay, and obviously that there's some truth to that. You know, when it comes to finding your next place, you said a bigger backyard or is something that you're kind of thinking you want. Tell me about that. What do you all want back there?
I mean, it's in Orange County. We don't have much, but just right now we literally have absolutely no backyard, just a balcony. So just
Wow.
need to be able to let the kids run around and let the dogs outside.
Okay, so you kind of want to use your backyard as almost like the babysitter once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So backyard and 4 bedrooms. What else, you know, let's say hypothetically you were to purchase a place, what else would you want in your next home?
So I'm going to let you off the hook real quick because there's so many things that I want to dive into, real.
Yeah.
That right there. And again, people are like, well, not every conversation is going to go that well. Fuck no, it's not. We know that.
Right.
However, you'd be shocked and amazed at how many do.
Mm-hmm.
When we just literally start connecting, first thing he did was uncover my current living situation. So when you write these down, write down these keywords because there really is not a script. There is simply a framework that we work within. What had you looking in the first place? Help me better understand your current living situation. Because then you get them to get away from I'm scared of the market. You get away from them, I'm priced out and interest rates are going up and I'm waiting for everything going to crash. We get away from all of that. And now we're able to have conversations and people say, well, help me better understand your current living situation. Well, currently right now I'm renting. Gotcha. Help me understand that a little bit more. When's your lease expire? We're in a month right now. Okay. Is your landlord going to be requiring a commitment? I mean, there's all these types of conversations that we can get into that one is going to help you identify their time frame. Because what if they just signed a 1-year lease? Okay. Guess when they're probably going to start looking to potentially be getting back into the market again. So the no's, I just signed a lease. That's a lead. Put a bag on the lawnmower. We were always a lawnmower without a bag. We only captured the easy shit and we didn't capture all the shit. And now this is what we use your systems for. We'll put that person on automation so that in 6 months, automation is going to kick on via text message because there's a plan for that exact scenario. Hey, a little while back, we had spoke, you were in the market. At the time you weren't interested. Now that your lease is coming back up, have you put any thoughts of jumping back into the market? Then they respond and they say, this is all automation. Then they respond and they say, well, we're kind of thinking about it. Now that's a new lead that deserves my time and my attention. But if we just don't ask the question of what had you looking in the first place, help me better understand your current living situation. Tell me why that was so important for you. Now we're having the ability to connect. And Robby could make that conversation with me 30 to 35 minutes, which is why I shut it down here, because he'll do it. But then when he's going to say, and I say, you know what, but Robby, honestly, we're just so terrified of the market. Robby, I get what you're saying. However, I'm not doing my job if I don't take this moment to educate you on what's going on.
Yes.
If I were able to show you to where 100 of the country's most respected economists are predicting that home values are going to go nowhere but up for the next 5 years, is that something you'd be interested in learning more about? Mm-hmm. Now he can have these conversations with me because he's stopped, got away from everything else, took a moment to talk about my kids, took a moment to talk about my dogs, took a minute to talk about me. I'm a high D. The fastest way you can get me to slow down, the fastest way to get me to hang up is you start putting a sales pitch on me. I can smell it from a mile away. If you want to slow me down, who's an absolute high D, you bring up my daughter. Mm-hmm. You will see me melt. And all of a sudden I smile and I start talking about my daughter. Robby is going to pick up on that, not because he's being a salesy dick, but because he genuinely cares about creating a relationship. Mm-hmm. And when he creates this relationship, he's going to tug on my heartstrings. Mm-hmm. This is something, Jacob, we'll get to that in just a sec. So it's one of these things where once he connects with me, then he's going to have the opportunity to slow down and then hit us with the facts and the data and the shit that is going to help you educate somebody to bridge the gap and get them to where they need to be. 100%. But when we hit them immediately with the objection, you hit them with the facts and tell them that you're wrong. Mm-hmm. You have no reason to be scared. You've got no reason to be fearful. You're never going to convert me or the majority of people.
Like me saying to my wife, you don't have any reason to be sad. Again, ouch. Colton, I want to share one more script for people is what else? What else? what else you want in that backyard is so key.
Yeah.
What else, or what other reason do you want a different home? Here's what happens, and let's just talk about the psychology of why this works for a moment. In the beginning, Colton's feeling fearful. He's fearful of the market. He's fearful of interest rates. There's all these feelings, right? Fear is a feeling. And what happens when you get them to move off of that feeling, talking about the backyard, when you're getting that person to start talking about what do they want in the next home, what you need to realize is that feeling gets displaced with other feelings. And that's why this works, Colton. It's the psychology behind it, is that feeling of fear gets displaced with that feeling of paying $4,000 a month in rent. Does anybody like paying 4 G's a month in rent? God, no. Okay. So now, because and I don't even have to say anything, right? When Colton told me he's paying $4,000 a month in rent, does he like saying that? Does any human like saying that? No. So he's feeling a little frustrated. New feeling, number one. Number two, we get him dreaming about that house, that backyard a little bit. Now he's feeling a little bit more excited. Movement, right? Feelings get shifted. That's what happens here, friends. And it gets them and it moves them to a place where they'll actually hear you and they're going to be listening to your message. They'll be in a place where it's going to support, well, maybe we should make a move right now, not of this place of, oh, the world's about to end, right? Stop trying to debate people, ask them questions, move their feelings, find out what they need, want, or desire. And Colton, you and I both know that the number one thing that matters above anything else is not you being able to debate all the facts or give them accurate information. You have to have a very clear understanding of why they want something to begin with. Because everything from that point forward is, Colton, if I were able to get you into that first home at about the same monthly payment you're paying in rent right now and get you 4 beds, is that something you'd be interested in? The only way to really tie that all in is because I told you what I wanted. And what you do, this is what brilliant salespeople do, is they just align the collaboration of what we could potentially do this for you. You attach it. That's how you win in this day and age. And man, it's been far too long since we've been in this type of market. I'm excited for it again because, again, skills matter again.
So I want to go back on this because, again, like our team, and I get it, like you want to master every object. If there's one conversation that you got to master, and if anybody on here wants to join our daily, we do a daily huddle and we role play this and we break out into groups and we role play it with our office. So if anybody wanted to join that, I'd be more than happy to welcome you into it. This is the only conversation I will have my team practice, honestly, probably for the next 3 to 4 months. And people think, oh, it's redundant. My job's not to entertain you. I tell my team all the time, my job is absolutely not to entertain you. It is not to bring you here and make you smile and laugh every single day. My job is to help create mastery. My job is to help make sure that when you do get these objections, you are going to have the ability to navigate yourself through this conversation in a way that is going to secure the conversion. And the only way you're going to do it is if you follow that exact script. Hey, Robby, da-da-da-da-da. Hey, a little while back, you'd inquired on one of the listings we had for sale over in Irvine. And I was just looking to update my notes. Did you ever end up finding the home you're looking for? Or are you still considering making a move? No, we're kind of putting things on hold. The market's crazy. Totally understand. What had you looking in the first place? And then I go into all my bullshit and I say everything that I say, and he is collecting notes because a ton of them are not going to be interested today. Get over that. We know that. Be on a mission to find that. Have a system built to where you're going to apply a certain tag. You're going to put them in a certain bucket. We know their time frames. We call it A leads, B leads, C leads, D leads. We know the time frames associated with each of those. D leads are 180 plus. Got news for you. Those D leads are going to mean a shit ton to you in about 6 months. The problem is everybody focuses on the A's and B's, and we wonder why we go through these roller coasters of productivity and through production. And it's because we don't nurture the whole database. And when we do, and we follow up at a cadence that's appropriate, which Robby has taught us through his systems, we know how often to communicate with an A lead, a B lead, a C lead, and a D lead. But so when he says, well, what had you looking in the first place? We are collecting all the data that we need to make sure that if we aren't going to get to a yes, that we'll give them permission to say no. Because when you give them permission to say no, they give you the real answer. When you don't, you get a bullshit answer. I'm not interested. We already bought, we're not moving. And then you follow up 6 months later and like, oh, we already bought a home. And then agents are like, oh my God, why'd they lie to me? Because you suck at asking questions that are going to identify a person's motivation.
Yep.
I say this because this was me for the longest time. And I blame leads and I blamed everything except for blaming myself. So when I say you guys, I'm looking at a mirror here. I see myself in the camera, me. And we all do it. And we need to understand and realize that if we just get more intentional and stop trying to turn the shit into gold and in the process, we turn our gold into shit. We just need to put our bandwidth on people who are ready today and then have a system in place that's going to allow us to nurture the people who are further down the pipeline. So once I collect all that information, see, you get me all worked up. Once you collect all that information, it's going to go one of two ways, which Robby already articulated. And I just want to make sure everybody fully understands it. I told him now we got everything that he's looking for. Okay, this is really why it's a good idea to understand your inventory and understand your market too, because you might already know where this property's at, or you have your MLS pulled up and you know where it's at. Hey, if that perfect property did come available and it checked all those boxes, would you be interested in taking a look at that, or would you miss out on that opportunity? And if they say yes, ding, 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 it worked. And we are getting the yeses all the damn time. Now I know who I'm putting my attention into. Or the other answer that you're going to get is, well, no, honestly, we're just really terrified of the market. Now he can dive into all of the shit that we have prepared. I've got 5 slides that we are sharing with every single client to show them that waiting will ultimately end up meaning that they pay more for less. And if we can educate those people, fantastic. But my job is not to talk somebody into buying a house that doesn't want to buy a fucking house. That doesn't make you a good real estate agent.
Nope, not at all.
So it goes one of those two ways. One, you've created a connection in a way that's going to allow them to open up and that's going to allow you to be part of the conversation and to be a part of the process. And one thing that we tell everybody, and I make my team practice it, look, whether you're looking to buy today or 10 years from now, my goal is simply to earn the privilege of being who you think of when that time comes. It takes all the pressure off. And those people open up and they will communicate with you when we don't use the sales BS that everybody is using.
Colton, there's one more pathway. You named 2 of them, right? The third is someone brings up a condition, not an objection. An objection is something that's their opinion that is maybe misinformation, right? A condition would be, oh, well, I'm retiring in 12 months and I'm not doing anything for 12 months as well, which is great. Put it in your follow bucket and move on. And I think that's what you're getting at, Colton. When I tell people about turning shit into gold or gold into shit, the biggest mistake I see people make is a number one, settle for surface level answers. You're not digging in deep enough. You gotta pivot, circle around it, go to that next level. That is so unbelievably key. And from that, you're going to start separating people that were just giving you surface level BS compared to who has legitimate deep motivations to do something. And what you all need to recognize is that your best opportunities never say yes right away. They never will. Your best opportunities always say no right away. And Colton, it's simple. If I reached out to you, you wouldn't just all of a sudden like, yes, I'm going to do everything he says, because you don't trust me if I'm a random ass salesperson. You're going to show resistance and hesitance first as well, because you don't trust me yet, which is normal. It's what everybody does. To stop expecting leads to do it.
It's every aspect of life. You go, hi, hey, Robby, nice to meet you. Say, hey, Barbie, looking pretty good today. Hey, you want to get married? No. Doesn't know me, doesn't like me, doesn't trust me.
You know what we call that? Desperate. We call that desperation. And Colton, have buyers been desperate the last 18 months in real estate?
Yes.
They've been desperate. That's changing. Because that change, your conversations are going to change. You're going to have more resistance. There's going to be a lot of people going to be afraid of this. They're going to suck at handling it, and they're going to leave the industry. And man, I'm excited for it, because that's when we get our unfair share. And that's what's around the corner. So I love you guys, man. You see it. You know it's coming.
One thing I want to say, and then we'll go in if anybody has any questions. And this is, he doesn't do this, and I'm going to for him. The systems and the scripts, there's literally, he has for every scenario. I'm just looking, I'm not interested. I already bought a house. The million different things. There is a plan with literally 3 to 5 years worth of communication text messages on an automated basis to send out. So number one, even if I could send it to you, it's not possible. There's a system that he has that we use, and I promise you, like we've grown by at least 150% year over year for the last 3 years. I've been using his system for 3 years. It works. It has increased our conversion rate dramatically. Reach out to Robby, his Hatch systems. It's incredible. It creates all the automations, the emails, the text messages. These campaigns will get you up to an 86 to a 97% response rate. 90% of my database, if not more, is effectively being nurtured, followed up with on an automated basis, allowing the automation to do the heavy lifting, which then allows us to put all of our bandwidth into the people who are ready to transact. Because there's one thing that's guaranteed, and as we've scaled from 3 agents to now we're losing count, we are adding agents now, and getting them to implement and execute the system in this process is impossible. So it needs to be on an automated basis to ensure that we are following a process that is guaranteed to get us the responses. So reach out to Robby if you're interested in that. That's how you get all those scripts and all those things. I just gave you guys a bunch of the ghosting scripts. Go utilize those. And if you don't get a response, work your way down the list, because you'll be amazed at how many people are going to respond based on those ghosting texts. It's substantial. And when they respond, we're just simply trying to create the conversation that's going to allow us to go through what we just did. So before we hang up and let everybody go, if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat. Robby, is there anything else that you wanted to go into?
No, man. It's fun. This is always fun with you. It's my favorite thing is seeing students that take and absorbing that can teach. So it's just, I love seeing you do that, man. It's an honor and privilege. Maybe one selfish little pitch here is I'm doing a lead conversion boot camp in end of May, early June, where I'm teaching people through 4 hours a lot of the stuff that I've taught Colton and his team. So hatchcoaching.com if you want to learn more information about that. Other than that, do good, be empathetic, treat leads like people, because they're people. Like, that's my big plea here is love people. They need it.
Yep. And I just think it's one of the things that we miss the most is we get into the sales, and we get into there's a lot of coaching companies out there, really known. I consider them the Disneyland of coaching. Their long 14-page scripts just simply don't work. Like, they're shit. And it's why it never worked for me in the past. So a couple of things, Greg and everybody who's doing this, we'll either do a special role play session, because I'm getting and I'm even getting DMs now. Maybe we'll do a session where we can all hop on and do it together and practice that. And then I'll give you guys an invite to the huddle as well. Depending on how many people, I can't screw up my team's routine or cadence, but we'll definitely put on some type of mastermind here for us all to role play back and forth on. All right, guys. Robby, as always, brother, thank you for everything you always do for us. Thank you for giving us the time. Love you, brother.
Anytime. We'll talk later. See y'all.
Thank you, guys. If you registered, I will get these to the emails that you guys have registered with. Feel free to send me a message on Instagram too if I don't have the correct email.